Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha Bean of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Libya El-Amin. Uh,
Hello,
I am a picture editor in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. I love it. Picture editor. I love seeing women doing the things. It just makes me so happy. Yay. Tell me a little bit about, your childhood. Let's go
Oh
back. I
wow!
love starting from
I
there.
was like, oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, we're getting into it now. Just a little bit about your childhood. What was that growing up like? And then kind of like what made you, kind of get the bug of like, I want to do this this job. Like I want to go to Hollywood. I want to do the whole, film world. I want to do this. That journey.
Uh, that is a journey because I did not know anything about Hollywood or television or anything like
Wow.
that. I started off as a chemical engineer. I went to school. I got a scholarship to North Carolina A&T in the engineering program. I got an engineering degree, and my childhood was crazy in that I lived in almost every state. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. There you
Wow.
go. Yeah.
All right.
Um, and I moved around a lot when I was a kid. I think I counted one time I've lived in 25 states. Uh,
Sheesh.
And so it's just from internships to my parents were not together from when I was about 6. And so they had shared custody. So they both moved. And so I would spend wherever they were, like, then we'd go to the next place to stay with my dad, and then we go to the next place to stay with my mom, and both of them moved a lot.
Wow.
So partly because of that, I've lived so many places.
Yeah.
And I did really well in school. And when you do really well in school, people tell you you should be like a doctor, or a lawyer, or an engineer. And my dad was a chemist, so he was like, "You're going to be a chemical engineer." And I said, "I am." And he was like, "Yes, this is what you're going to do." But even from when I was a kid, I loved stories. I would read all the time. I would watch television all the time, and I loved genre stories and just science fiction and fantasy and all those things, and they just really captured my imagination. And at no point in my childhood did it even occur to me that I could be part of that. Like that
Wow.
wasn't even on my roadmap at all. And I just did, what everybody told me I should do, which was go to school, be an engineer. And so I went to North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, and then I went to University of Virginia,
Okay.
Charlottesville.
Okay.
Got my master's there, and then I worked as an engineer for about 6 years. Worked at
Jeez.
3M
Wow.
and did all of that. But in my hobby was I would go to conventions all over the place for different science fiction things, and I saw my first music video at one of these places. I was like, "This is you can cut a TV show to music and tell a different story. This is so cool." And then I figured out how to do that, and for several years, that's what I did. I just cut TV shows to different songs to tell different stories to highlight different things, and then I'd enter them in contests, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I was like, well, how do I do this all the time? And it wasn't until um basically there was a fall in the tech industry, and they started laying people off, and I ended up being laid off while I was in New Jersey, New York. It's basically on that border, and I had a choice. I could try to get another engineering job, or I could just start over. I was
Mm.
right across from NYU and Columbia and all those schools where people actually talk about the television and movie industry.
Mm.
And I said, this is a chance for me. Do I want to spend the rest of my life doing this job, which I don't really enjoy that much, or switch it up?
Yeah.
And that's what I decided to do. And I I'm trying to sum this up so it's not super long, but basically, done with engineering, New York Film Academy, and I just like, oh, editing is exactly what I wanted. What I really loved with that program is you got to try different things,
Mm-hmm.
and I was, yep, editing is what I want to do. I started off, got my first two jobs in New York, and then I moved to LA because I said television is where I want to tell stories. Because what I love about television as opposed to movies, you have 2 hours to tell a really quick story and to get your theme across. To me, movies are like short stories versus
Yeah.
novels.
Yeah.
And what I love about television, it's more long form. You get to tell a longer story and get attached to the characters and love the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my thing when I was growing up. I loved television for that reason because I would get so attached to the different characters on my different shows. So that's what I wanted to do, and they said you got to be in LA to do that. So I moved to LA, and
Did now
so
I'm
I just
curious.
don't want to ramble.
No, no, this is good. This is great. This is great.
Okay, okay.
This is good. No, I'm curious. So was there any time where you were like kind of nervous? Because like I know a lot of people that are really afraid to like. I like traveling. I'm the baby of like four, and I was the one that was like, yeah, I want to be a filmmaker and do what I want to do, and travel the world, and which I did, and I have sisters that are like, I would never. I'm like, why not? Like, what's the fear of going out of something in the unknown? So I'm curious, were you like nervous? Because you seem like you just like jumped into it and like, hey, why not? Let's go for it.
I made my decision, and I was moving in a month.
Wow, I love that.
So it's more. I think just like because our family moved around so much. I have
Yeah.
five. No, there's five of us, so I have four siblings. Uh, we moved around so much that moving is
It's
not a
just
thing. Like it's just breathing. It's not
right.
that big of a deal. I never had roots in the way that some people talk about. I've had a friend since kindergarten. I can't conceive of that.
Wow.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
but so my friends are my brothers. There's three of us, one like a year and a half apart
Oh
between us.
wow.
So for us, that was that.
That was that.
But it never occurred to us to have that kind of fear. That's just, if you've
Mm,
never lived that fear, then
yeah.
what is it? I will say that my mom changed careers when we all went to, once she got us all out of the house to college,
Hmm.
she changed her career. She went to law school and became a lawyer and
Whoa.
that was insane, right? To get your LSAT and whatnot. And
Wow.
we saw her do that and we're like, oh, you can do that?
Yeah.
Um, and so then I did it. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And I can't say it's not scary because moving from New York to LA, I didn't know anyone in
Yeah.
California, like at all, really.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing is that my brother, he claims it was his decision first, which I think is funny. We argue about this because we were actually roommates in New York, and
Okay.
he made a very similar decision to move to LA.
Okay.
And I will give him credit. I think he made the decision that he was definitely doing it first. I will give him that because I'm sure
Okay.
he's going to listen to this and then we'll have a fight. Uh, I will give him that he made the decision first. I moved first, and
Okay.
then he moved about a month after me.
Oh.
So it wasn't, but then we weren't roommates, which is kind of like we were roommates in New York, but then we weren't roommates in LA,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
slightly confusing. But yeah, we both did our journeys here. So that you kind of had, it's not really a safety blanket because neither one of us knew what we were doing at the
No, but I love
time.
that. Just the fact that you just go and you have that I think it's the unknown that I really love. Like it fascinates me. Like I'm like, yeah, why not? Why, just like the journey. That's what it's about, right? Just
Yeah.
making those new connections and being around new people. So I'm curious now. Now you're in LA. You're in LA. What's the first thing that you do like to really like like find your tribe, I guess the people that you need to be around. Like what do you do?
Well, LA is actually strangely divided. So I started off getting my hours in reality TV.
Mm,
And when I say it's divided, I mean, like, especially when I first got here, reality people, uh, television people and film people were in different groups. They
Yeah,
did not mix.
that's true.
And so I didn't understand that when I first got here. I figured once I got my first job, got into the union, like I, got my hours and did all that, then I could just easily move into television.
Yeah.
And that was not the case at all. And television, especially scripted television, is very much who you know, and you have to know someone to get a job. They don't post them anywhere. There's no message board. There's
Yeah.
nothing like that.
Right.
It's very much like I remember I was working, I was already in scripted, and I'm a big, like I said, sci-fi person, and somebody stuck their head in my office and they were like, "We need an assistant editor on the new Star Trek show. Who do you know?" And I was thinking, me, but I couldn't say me because I was working on this show.
Yeah.
But that's how it works. People would just put their head in somebody's office, like, "Hey, give me 3 resumes."
Yeah.
And then it's the 3 people that I know that I give them, and then one of them gets the job. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's crazy that it's so Hollywood is so small that way,
Yes.
but it really depends on the circles that you're in. So the talent and the skill that you have to develop is how to network in the right circles.
That's it.
And that is a skill set that I learned later than I would have liked. And some of it is you kind of have to come out of your shell. I was somewhat of an introvert in college,
Oh,
and I know you can't tell.
what's your sign? What's your sign?
I never remember this. I'll tell you my birthday if that helps.
Okay.
October 24th. I'm on the cusp of 2 things. Uh, and so I don't remember. It's
I
Scorpio,
can't think of it.
Scorpions, isn't
I
it?
think it
One
got to
of
be
those.
Scorpio. Yeah, my sister. Yes, a Scorpio. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
I think so.
I don't pay attention to those things, but uh, I was a really pretty big sci-fi geek introvert into my own corner, and then going away to college, and then going to New York, and I had to kind of come out of my shell a bit. But networking in LA is like a totally different monster. You have to go into a room full of complete strangers. You're the only one there, and in order to make those connections, you have to be bold enough to walk up to a complete stranger and be like, "Hi, my name is Libya. I would like to work the way you are and teach me." And
Yeah,
you have to knock on doors
that's true.
and be okay with people. Like I've had some people, like I've done cold emails to people to try to meet with them for lunch and stuff. And for the most part, they either ignore your email if they're not interested,
Yeah,
or they'll respond, which is great.
yeah.
And they'll say they're busy, but blah, blah, blah. And then you try to make it work. I've only had like one person respond to me in a hostile fashion. Like, "Don't you
No.
ever," like, it was crazy. He was like, "Don't you ever write to me ever again." Blah, blah, blah. Like, it
What?
was super, I was like,
Holy crap.
whoa. So and you
Wow.
can't take that personally because it's not, he doesn't know me. So it's
Yeah,
not about, it's not anything like that. So you have to be bold some in this industry, and you have to network, and you have to keep your connections, and they have to be genuine. It's not like you connect with a bunch of people and then you hope they get you a job and that's it. That's not how it works. You have to really develop relationships and genuinely like people, and you'll find the people that are your people that you like, that you enjoy spending time with, and then you end up helping each other out. And that's
yeah.
what I enjoy the most, is meeting new people in the industry, and then they're working on something that I'm like, "Oh my god, that was so good," and then you get to chat about it,
Yeah,
and then you end up going to movies and dinner, and then those develop into real relationships, and then you end up working together. Like, that's what I like.
that's good. No, I love that. I love that. And I mean, gosh, I definitely want to, I could talk to you about that all day, but I want to get to your
Okay.
professional, you have a lot of, I was like, holy crap. I love a lot of things that you've done. I'm like, holy crap, I've seen that. And I was like, I had to go back and watch, and it really makes, the editor, like, I don't think people give editors, enough praise. Like, it's really important, like the pace,
Mhm.
certain pieces that to make something flow properly, so it conveys to the audience the feeling that we're trying to get from a scene or whatever. I think the little slightest wrong move, it would, throw someone off. But you're so good. You're so talented. Tell
Thank you.
me, like, it's
I mean, now I'm gonna be like, "What are you talking about? Be more specific."
well, man, I saw that you did is it Kindred?
Yes.
I literally I love that series, by the way. I thought it was just I mean, very well done. I mean, Octavia, I mean,
Yeah.
just genius. But these are some amazing like shows. What was your approach with that in particular when it comes to like, you know,
Well, being for me, it was kind of being a fan, which is how I connected with the showrunner.
ah,
Brandon was like he was so into the Octavia Butler, and he went and got her notes from her family,
oh
and
wow.
he delved in from like he was like, okay, here's the overall story, but how can we make ours unique and add a layer? Like the mom wasn't in the book,
Um,
and it was in Octavia's notes that she was going to put the mom in the book, and she changed her mind. And
Interesting.
so he was like, oh well, let's take that and put it in and make it a little different and change it up. And I came at it from an because I read a bunch of Octavia Butler books as well, because I told you I'm into sci-fi, and so this is right in my
Yes.
wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
And so I approached it as a fan. Like, what do I want to see when I watch this show? Like, I was watching the dailies like I was watching my favorite television show. You know
Love
what I
that.
mean?
Yeah.
And so my thing is when I cut the way I want to watch.
Mm,
So if Dana is looking over here, I want to see what she's looking at. I want to see her face when she reacts to that. I want to see that other person's reaction and the dialogue, and then they're fighting and whatever. It was really cool because I cut episode 2, and I worked with Brandon, and he really liked the cut, and so he gave me an extra episode because I think I was originally supposed to do 2, and then I
oh,
got a third one, which was
nice.
cool. So I did 102, 105, and 106. So I got to do
Nice.
3 episodes, and that was like just gravy. I
That's so
really
cool.
appreciate, and especially because I did 5 and 6 back to back, because they were
Nice.
those 2 episodes are very serialized. They one flows right into the other,
Yeah.
and they were both back in 1815. So it was like really harsh things that were happening. It was really depressing and dark and
Very,
all
very
very
dark.
dark. And so I got to cut some of the meat. I really liked that I was cutting, some of the meat of the show, like the really gut wrenching parts. And that's how I know it. It's like if I'm watching dailies and I'm almost crying, then yeah,
Oh,
these are good
wow.
dailies. And so I really thoroughly enjoy putting that together. And you basically have to remember whose point of view it is. And for Kindred, it's definitely Dana. Like Dana
Yes.
is the center, and if we're not focused on her, then we're focused wrong. And I remember we got notes from the network at one point that we should be focusing more on Kevin, and I was
Hmm.
like, why?
Yeah.
And because Kevin was the white protagonist guy that all the network execs could identify with, and he was fun
Mm.
and he was funny. He had
Yeah.
humor. He was funny, and they wanted to bring some levity to it, and they wanted to kind of see it a little through his eyes.
Mm.
And to be fair, once Kevin comes back, there is value to seeing his point of view. I
Right.
totally agree with that,
Yeah.
but you can't forget that it's Dana's story,
Right.
and that was one of the things that Brandon had to fight for. He had to be
Mm.
like, look, it's Dana's story. And yes, she's not, they were like, well, why is she so mean to Kevin? And I was like, because it's more traumatic to her than it is to him. So, dude, get
Right.
it together.
Right. Exactly.
So they thought that Dana was too mean to Kevin. And I know I'm spilling the tea now, but we're canceled, so who cares?
I mean, what
Uh,
the heck? I don't understand. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna calm down. Yeah. Okay. All right.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so that was part of it. I think is they didn't get it. They didn't
Yeah.
understand the point of view. They thought that Dana should be nicer, and I was like, why
Mm.
would she be nice in this situation? It's such a because I think part of it is they're used to the standard drama of
Yep.
you want the protagonist to be likable, you want everybody to love her, and you want, and I get it. Like that totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in this particular story, she's dealing with trauma, and she doesn't have the bandwidth to be nice to everybody at all
It's
the
like,
time. Yeah, and that was one of the discussions that Brandon had with us as the editors, he was like, am I wrong? Did I write this? Like, and I was like, no, dude, this is exactly how he asked me, he's like, as a Black woman, if you were in that situation, how would you react? And I was like Dana, like
Exactly.
exactly right. I was like, you've done it perfectly. You've written the character really well.
Yeah.
And so that's the collaborative aspect of editing that I really enjoy, is that you have your showrunner in the room with you and he's trying to enact his vision, and he's like, okay, how do we tell this story the way I see it? And then he was interested, he really wanted to know, as a Black woman, did I see it the same way?
I
I
love
was like,
that.
yeah.
I love that. I feel like that is so important, especially if you're having a character that is Black. You want it to be from that perspective. So do you feel like it's changing? Like that's another question I have. Even in that world, because I have my problems in the film world of like, you know, being behind the camera or, in front of the camera, like as a Black woman. But do you feel like that is something that is changing for the better? Are they being more
I would say right after the pandemic and all the studios were like, oh, we need to be more inclusive.
yeah.
Immediately after, I would say yes.
Okay.
Now that the industry is shrinking, that they are like, we can't make as many shows. We can't. The studios fired their they had diversity directors.
Yeah.
And I think 3 studios fired their diversity directors, 3 of the big studios. So I don't know where we're going
Mm.
in the future, but I will say what's inspiring or making me not feel as nervous about it is we still have some creatives who are of color who are
Yes.
still working,
Yeah.
in power. When I worked at Genius in particular, the showrunners were Black, and Gina Prince Bythewood and her husband Reggie, who also did Swagger, which just got canceled.
What?
Yeah, sorry to be the bearer of that news. Um,
Oh my God, no.
but the Bythewoods
Yeah,
have a first look deal at Fox Television, so they still are
that's great.
making content. And David Aiello just made a deal with Apple, a first look deal to make content, and
Nice.
you have the Obamas still making content at Netflix. So
It's
you
good.
still have some people who now have some power that can
Yeah.
make creative decisions,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so that's the thing that I'm looking at, and I'm trying not to be, super down about. But also,
Yeah.
I think I also don't want to be pigeonholed as a
The
Black
Black.
editor. The
I
Black
agree.
editor can only work in Black things because
I
I
agree.
can do other things too.
I agree with that.
So the feature I'm doing right now, um, the protagonist is not a Black person.
Yeah.
Yay.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I totally agree
Yeah.
with that.
So
1000.
it's like it's storytelling, and I understand
Yeah.
storytelling. And sometimes, being a Black woman helps with the storytelling, but it's not 100%
Like everything.
necessary if you
Absolutely.
understand story.
Yes.
And that's really where I'm planning to go, because I love genre TV and movies, and so my goal is to get into that. And
Nice.
Kindred was a great like entryway, but we didn't have spaceships. I'd like spaceships, please. Um,
Yeah.
so like Foundation is one of my top shows. Have you ever seen that? It's on Apple.
I have. I have.
And
It's a
so
great.
Foundation is one of my favorite shows that's on
Nice.
television right now.
I love that.
And they have spaceships, So
You're like, they have a spaceship. That's
that's it, right? And so
I
that
love
would
that.
be my dream. Um Stuff, a show similar. I mean, I don't know how many seasons Foundation has, so I'm not trying to take anybody's job or anything, but I'm
Right.
just saying a show of that caliber,
Yeah,
of that genre, that's where I want to go.
that's where you want to go. Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to happen because I mean, you're that talented and I think I agree with you 100%. I think that's the thing about this business. Yes, I have my problems with, being a Black woman, but I don't think that's like the only space. Because I actually never, well, if I did horror noir, history of Black horror, that was on Shudder. I was on that, but you know, I agree with you. I don't want to be pigeonholed. I don't want to be boxed in. I always
Yeah.
say I'm not just a film. I started doing, you know, behind the camera, did front, but I like all of it. I love all things because I'm like, you know, as a creator, we're just, you know, one day you want to be like, maybe you want to write a book, you know, you're like, why not? You know, which I, you know, I did that. So it's like, I love creating. I think that
Yeah.
it's all about, yeah, I agree with you on that. I haven't done sci-fi yet. That's something I definitely would love to get into one day.
I
Maybe.
think that would be really cool.
That would be spaceships though.
Well, the way you just have to do it in a way that
Yeah.
works on a smaller budget. You just have to
Yeah.
like have the hallways of the ship and
Yeah,
then
there we go.
the room, and then you pay your VFX guy to do your ships, and you're good.
Yeah, you're good. I have a really fun question. I love to ask this question to everyone on the show. Um, if you could, you know, the three levels of influence, money, power, and respect. And if you could choose one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Okay, that's complicated because I feel like the respect thing is important. You get false respect if you have money. It's not real respect. I do like the respect, but I also think that
Ah, yes.
the power will allow you to do the projects that you want to do. And I
Yes.
think that's more important. And because if you have the power, you can get the respect. If you behave in a human way, like any set that I'm on and everybody, you respect other people, it comes back to you. So
Yes.
that's not something that has to be given. You can earn that, I feel.
Yeah.
The power is harder. So sometimes money can get you power, but not always.
Mm.
So I would say I would go with power, and then
I
I would earn
love
my
it.
respect.
I love your answer. That's a good answer. Everyone usually chooses respect, which I understand. It's great. It's really like
Respect
noble.
it, yeah, but respect is something you earn. You earn
Absolutely.
respect. You don't
Yeah.
just you're not just given it.
Yeah.
So I think that if you have the power, you can earn the respect. I get
Absolutely.
the twofer. I'm greedy that way.
Yes, Scorpio. Um, so okay, and you know, this is when a lot of people like to write in and they always love this question from every guest. They love the part when I ask like, you know, what advice would you give to anyone out there, male or female, that wants to get into this business of, you know, maybe become an editor, want to, you know,
I
start
can only
that.
give advice on that. I don't know how, but other industries I think have different. They have slightly different formulas.
Yeah,
For editing, it's you gotta come to LA and you gotta network and you gotta meet people and you have to be fearless. You
yeah.
have to be fearless, because people say editors just sit in the closet and work in the dark, which is not wrong, but you can't. You do that once you have the job.
Right.
And in order to get the job, you have to be a little fearless. And that's my advice to anybody is you network, come out here, talk to people, meet people, be bold without being annoying, which is a fine line. Um, but
Absolutely.
for the most part, the people that I've met have been outgoing and friendly and willing to help people. There's not a lot of, at least in television, there's not a lot of ego. I hear in the big film industry there's some ego that's a little there, but I haven't really hit like negative
That's good.
energy. Most of the energy
Mhm.
of the people that I've met are really positive, and
That's great.
I try to pass that on. So I was helped along, and so my thing is that means I help the next person along, and then I
Mm.
hope that they then help the next person.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to teach one and all of that it goes. I really
Mhm.
think that that's valuable, but I have to see that you really want it. I want to see that you got the desire, the heart, the follow through, because this business is not easy. You can't expect people to just hand it to you.
That's right.
You have to be able to hustle. And I want to see the hustle. If you have the hustle, I'll help you.
Yeah.
Don't have the hustle, I don't have time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I see it. So
Love
my
that.
advice, hustle, be fearless.
Yeah. I love that. It's beautiful. Are you working on anything right now that you would like to share? Anything like you want to share with the audience that, you know, you can.
Well, Genius just came out.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Genius MLKX came out. I did 2 episodes of that. And that's on Hulu and Disney Plus and Nat Geo and all of those things. But it just finished, and I did episodes 2 and 6 for that show, and I'm very, very proud
Oh,
of working
yay.
on those those episodes of that show. And right now, I'm working on a feature,
All right.
um, which is executive produced by David Aiello.
Hey, I love
So,
that. Love that.
but it's a really good script. It's dealing with a soldier with PTSD, and it's probably going to hit the festivals. I don't. It's not going to show up in a movie theater or anything. It'll probably end up hitting the festivals and stuff like that.
Nice.
But I'm loving how it's coming together. That we
Oh,
just wrapped shooting, but I haven't got all the dailies yet.
okay.
But from what I have right now, I think it's coming together.
All
It's gonna
right.
be good. It's gonna
That's
be good.
exciting. All right. Yay. Where can people find you on social media to follow you and everything you got going on?
For me, I just really have Instagram, which is at Nzinga, and Nzinga is the Queen of Angola. So it's
Ooh.
NZHINGA 72. I'll tell you later so you can put it up for me.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I just usually there I just post events I go to, pictures of stuff like that, and sometimes links to articles and podcasts that I do.
I love
But yeah,
it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was so good talking to you. It was really fun.
all right.
I enjoyed
I
it.
will. Thank you so much.
And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.